always found it interesting how the religious make claims about things that are absolutely irrational, yet they throw them out there like, well, of course it's right. They can't even imagine the insane things going on in their head aren't absolute truth, and that's the very definition of delusional. This time, Pastor Daniel Fusco tries to tell us how wonderful prayer is while ignoring the fact that prayer simply doesn't work in any objectively demonstrable fashion. But who cares if these claims make sense, right? It's all about emotions anyhow. And drugs. Probably lots of drugs. Who else would voluntarily have their hair like that? Seriously. So, anyway, here we go again. Strap in.
Hey everybody, Daniel Fusco here. Welcome to today's 2-minute message. We all know that relationships are important. And so much of relationships is that communication as we talk to one another. But the way we talk to God, it's got a special word. It's called prayer. What I want to tell you is that prayer changes everything.
Except it doesn't. See, when you talk to someone else, you can prove they're real. You can prove you're actually engaged in a conversation, at least unless you're completely insane or on drugs or something that's messing with your capacity to properly interpret external stimuli. But when you're talking about such imaginary things as gods, you're not talking to anything but yourself, because you can point to no evidence external to your own mind that any of it is objectively real.
You and I are created, designed to have a relationship with God.
Well, that's your claim. Now how about you back it up? How about you do anything but flap your lips at the gullible and delusional? Because unfortunately, that seems to be the limit of Daniel's intellectual capability, preaching unsupported nonsense to the intellectually vapid.
And we want to be people of prayer.
Says who? I have no interest whatsoever in being a person of prayer. Sitting around talking to yourself doesn't demonstrably accomplish anything but proving that you're out of your gourd. Until you can objectively demonstrate that you're talking to someone real, someone who actually exists in the real world, someone who exists outside of your head, then the only rational position to take is that you're nuts.
In the upcoming year, 2018, at Crossroads Community Church, where I get the pleasure of being a pastor with campuses in Vancouver, Washington, Portland, Oregon.
Hey, nice sales pitch there. You know, toss out where you work and where people can come and hand over their money to listen to you blather on about irrational subjects. Sure, there's no monetary component here whatsoever. Tell us another one.
Prayer is going to, and fasting is going to be one of the main themes of 2018 as a way to deepen us. So I want us, as the 2-minute message family, to spend time praying together.
Because sure, sitting in a room silently where everyone is talking to themselves and pretending they're getting a response, that's a great way to slowly go out of your minds as a group. What could be better?
It's amazing. No matter where you are in the world, if we're all praying together,
we're all wasting our time.
God can do the most amazing thing.
Yeah. And when do you think God is going to get off his fat, lazy ass and actually accomplish anything verifiable? Never? That's what I thought.
So let's respond to this. First, will you share this video?
Sure. I'll just keep sharing it with an audience who thinks that you're out of your mind and are laughing at your absurd beliefs. Does that help? Probably not. Well, it helps shine the light of reason on the cockroaches of irrationality, which I guess ultimately helps the planet rid itself of religious stupidity.
Because we're going to get everybody together praying.
I'll pass, but thanks, I guess.
And then in the comments, I want you to put your prayer requests and your praise reports.
Things you wish would happen but don't, and things you made up and want people to take seriously. Because at the end of the day, I don't care how much you've talked to yourself, you can't objectively prove that any of it happened because of some imaginary man in the sky. You just can't.
I want you to put them in there, and then people are going to start liking those comments.
Nope. I just went through and downvoted every single comment on this video, and I invite my viewers to do the same. Now, Don't be obnoxious to the delusional. Don't be insulting. But come on, this is an experiment. Let's see how many downvotes they can actually get.
They're not liking those comments because they actually like what the need is. They're liking that comment because they've taken a moment to pray for you and for that situation. And listen, as we do this, as God is answering prayer, I want you to make sure that you cycle on back and give us the praise reports of what God did in those situations.
Not a damn thing. Because again, you can't actually prove that God exists, much less has done anything verifiable in the real world. Wishful thinking doesn't make it so.
Why? Because prayer changes everything. Prayer is the word we use to talk with God. And when we invite God into the messes of our lives, he works in the most extraordinary way.
Not that you can prove or anything. I mean, I could pray to Bobo the tree god and report that he answers every single prayer. Now, granted, I'm just asking for things that would happen anyhow, like the sun coming up tomorrow or gravity continuing to function. But hey, you can't prove it wasn't Bobo, can you?
So I am excited that we're going to get to pray together as a community. God bless you guys.
Yeah, I'm so excited that we can be delusional together as a community, because reality doesn't matter, right? Just as long as you feel good about the crazy nonsense you allow into your head, just as long as your brain keeps feeding you those feel-good chemicals, you'll just keep believing it, because comfort is more important than reality. Jesus, guy is dumb or crazy. I'm starting to lean towards crazy. Because when you've got someone spewing hippy-dippy feel-good religious nonsense all the time, without the capacity to step back and realize just how insane what they're saying sounds to anyone outside of their cult, that's insanity. This guy is so unapologetically delusional, living in a mindless fantasy land where he can and does say any nutty thing that comes into his mind unironically, as though it all somehow makes sense. Well, yeah, I guess, if you're out of your mind and totally unconcerned with reality. But for the rest of us who actually have to live in the real world and are concerned with believing as many demonstrably true things as we can, and rejecting as many demonstrably false things as possible, learning how to tell the difference between the two is important. Not to the religious, unfortunately, because they just don't care. And maybe that should tell us something.